talking, marching up to freedom land. I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Gonna keep on a walking, keep on a talking, marching up to freedom land. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. Keep on a walking, keep on a talking, marching up to freedom land.
And good morning. Good morning, heart and soul. Good morning to all of you so beautifully arrayed here in our sanctuary in Oakland, California. Good morning to all of you who are watching the live stream. All of you, whether you're here in this place or abroad in far-flung places, please know that the energy of love that you bring to Heart and Soul Center of Light is so essential to our ongoing mission of contributing to an idea of a world that works for everyone. If you haven't met me yet, or if I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you, my name is Reverend Angelo Allen. I am a staff minister here at Heart and Soul, and it is my deep honor and pleasure and privilege to bring us full circle in this, our February celebration of Black History Month. And as you can see, I'm standing in a different place on our platform, and that's because there's something I feel that we need to do as we come full circle. A component of Black culture that has always been embedded in the experience of African Americans, of anyone in the African diaspora, is the idea of honoring ancestors. Now, that practice of honoring ancestors isn't unique to Black culture. There are many cultures and many traditions that honor and lift up ancestors, that remember ancestors, some with more emphasis than others, and yet it is important. Dr. Howard Thurman once said, "There is in every one of us an abiding awareness that our lives are shaped by those who walked before us, whose courage gave us courage, whose hope lit our path. We are not alone. We are the answered prayers of the ancestors." It is absolutely true. And so this morning, what you see in front of me is one of two ancestor altars that we have in the sanctuary. For those of you who are joining by live stream, maybe we could do a close-up of the altar so that you can get a general sense. There are photographs and other objects that are representative of ancestors. Reverend Dr. Andriette, over the last 3 weeks, have invited us to bring in those items and place them on an altar. This one is rather small, and so we have another altar in the back right under the Black History banner that has more space. And so if anyone has brought an object, a photo that is representative of ancestors for you, feel free, even now, to place it on that table, that altar in the back, and know that they are absolutely included. If you are watching online, It might very well be that you don't have an ancestor table that is set up, but you may very well have a photo or maybe some gift that an ancestor bequeathed you, or some other thing that reminds you of them. I invite you to bring that into your proximity, even if it's a candle that you would light in their honor. Because what I want to do is a bit of a process today to give thanks for and honor our ancestors. I'm going to lead us through a prayer, and I'm going to invite all of us to participate. And the way that you will participate, there are going to be 3 opportunities for you to verbally speak the name of the ancestors that are coming up for you, that are guiding and inspiring and moving through you, yeah? You will know when to do it. I will give you those clues. And then I also need to say that some people get hung up on ancestor gratitude as being, a direct bloodline connection to people who have moved on. It's bigger than that. This is about my ancestors, your ancestors, our ancestors, no matter where we're from. Our ancestors are divine, energetic, of wisdom and peace. And so, after we come through this experience, the next voice that you will hear will be Takia Franklin, accompanied by Mark Rickey in our musical inspiration. And for now, I'm going to invite you, wherever you may be, know with me that there is one life, one divine creator, one source of all wisdom and information. It informs all that there is. It is the strong one, the infinite one, the eternal one. This one is known by many names and many traditions. And this one is the life that is living and moving and having its being through each and every one of us. It is in the name of this infinite I am presence that we stand today rooted in gratitude, honoring, celebrating, and remembering the ancestors who walked before us. Those whose names are known and those whose names were whispered only to the wind and the seas. We stand on their shoulders, knowing their sacrifices are woven into the fabric of our being. Ancestors, we honor you now, and we speak your names. Call their names now. Irene Allen, Eugene Allen. Speak their names. Mandika people, Akan people, Yoruba, Igbo, Congo. Call the names of those ancestors. Those ancestors who were stolen from their lands but never lost their spirit. For those who endured bondage yet kept their faith unshaken. For every hand that tilled the soil. Every voice that sang through suffering. And every soul who dared to rise. Ancestors, we honor you now and we speak your names. Charles Drew, Marcus Garvey, Harriet Tubman, Elaine Bailey, Loinee Charles, Victor Allen. Speak the name of those ancestors. For those mothers and fathers who whispered prayers in the dark, and the warriors who fought, bled, and dreamed of freedom. For those visionaries, the healers, the artists, the scholars, for the builders, the storytellers, the revolutionaries. We give thanks and we honor you now. Speaking your name out loud, we give thanks as we carry forward their resilience, their courage, their love. We give thanks for the blessing of their eternal guidance as we walk in our own purpose. We do not forget that we are their answered prayers, and that the road we walk has been paved by their hope and by their sacrifice. We give thanks that our lives are a testament to the legacy of our ancestors. And we give thanks that we too may leave a path and provide guidance for those who come after us with gratitude, with reverence, and with love. We say, Ashe, Amen, and so it is.
I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. In all my days, I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up till I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest nights. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father, I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God. Yes, all my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God.
You're off to some kind of start this morning. Thank you to Kia Franklin and Mark Rickey. In our blessing of the ancestors, clearly, it's a powerful experience, deeply moving for me, as you could perhaps tell. And I thought that I would be sufficiently recovered by the end of the song, but then Takia took us so deep, reminding me of the goodness of God, reminding all of us, your goodness is running out to me this morning. I'm saying the goodness of God is running all through me, running through this place, wherever we may be. The goodness of God is present, so I'm going to say once again, good morning, because the goodness of God is here. And I'm witnessing it. I'm witnessing it here in our sanctuary. As I look at, our sanctuary has been, if you're online watching via live stream, you may not be able to tell. I'm going to do my best to kind of describe for you how our sanctuary has been transformed and converted into a Black History museum. So lovingly and amazingly curated. I just want to hit on some of it. I don't know if we have slides that accompany what I'm going to be talking about or not, but I just got to lift up. If you look over to the portrait of Mother Harriet, you'll see right next to her, there are clothing items and jewelry and other apparel, other accoutrements, hats, scarves, gloves, elegant refineries that Black people used to historically wear for the most mundane things. Going to the store was enough to get dressed up. Do you remember that? Our parents, and certainly our grandparents and great-grandparents, let alone getting dressed up for church, going to any sort of meeting, having a public projection of how they viewed themselves in the world. It was a visual statement that says, regardless of laws and obstacles and other things that people try to put in my way to define who I am, I'm showing you my elegance. That's what that display is all about. If you haven't had an opportunity to walk and look at it, please do. Right next to that display is what I can only call the lunch counter diorama. It's amazing, our effort to replicate the lunch counter, Woolworth and other places, I think, in the 1960s, where freedom riders and others would come putting their bodies at risk in whites-only counters, where they were, assaulted, humiliated, disgraced in a number of ways. And if you look at the lunch counter, you're going to see, I don't know where they got these classic Coke bottles still full of Coke from that era. All kinds of things. If you go and look, there are tins of saltine cans that they don't even make anymore. So many people put so much into creating that look of the food when you stand there and look at the pictures of the people who were really there. You are there. On this side, in the back of the sanctuary, as I mentioned a little while ago, there's a second table, still inviting anyone who wants to put a picture, an artifact that represents your ancestor. That's the ancestor altar beneath our Black History Month banner. And on I guess that's the eastern wall, there is this amazing, 10-foot table that can only be called the minister's table, right? Half of the table is comprised of heart and soul staff ministers as well as other ministers who have spoken at Heart and Soul, all of us as children. Because, well, none of us, had aspirations as children to be ministers, and yet we answered a call. It came to us. We all had something to do, but if you believe you can, then you will. All of us believed. And on the other side of that table are ministers of note that you have heard about or experienced through mass media. Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend Johnny Coleman, Reverend Dr. Ralph Abernathy, Reverend Dr. William Barber, Howard Thurman. They are legion in their number. There is a beautiful book. This experience has been cultivated, put together, and maintained over all the weeks, grown over all the weeks. And I want to lift up some people who made this possible. First, I want to lift up our Heart and Soul Beautification team, led by Miss Valda Earl Southall, Miss Ernestine Calvin, ably assisted by Nakia Dillard, Mildred Thompson, Mariah Imani, Barbara Woods Irwin. That's the team that put together the apparel and the lunch counter and the two ancestor altars. And I absolutely have to lift up the people who put together that amazing ministers display, led by none other than our staff minister, Reverend Sonia Russell. She's back there in the AV deck being our producer today. And the Youth and Family Ministry Circle came together and made that possible. I am so proud to be part of this community that comes together in such amazing ways. And so, Reverend Dr. Andriette, of course, in the first, second, and third week of February, kind of took us somewhere in our celebration of Black history. In the first Sunday, which was February the 2nd, her talk title was, "What Was and Still Is Required." She reminded us, and it can never be said enough, apparently, that Black history is American history, is world history. If you want to test that statement, try to tell the story of America without including Black history. It becomes a story that doesn't make any sense. America as a collection of small colonies, having the temerity to stand up to the military powerhouse of that time, Great Britain, would not have been possible without the economic powerhouse that was provided by free Black labor. The agriculture that fed that effort, all of it, the labor made it possible. And it's been the same story throughout. Reverend Dr. Andriette also admonished us. She said, "Don't be scared." Which, if you need a translation, don't be afraid, don't be scared. She said that there are people who are invested in our being afraid, and that fear does nothing except to get in the way of every possible outcome that we would have for ourselves. She said that there are a lot of people who are absolutely relying on you believing that you have no resources, that you have no options for change, and that you have no allies. that you are alone in the world. She reminded us, Reverend Dr. Andriette did, she said that you have to be transformed in order to have the life that you want in these times. You have to be transformed. You got to be something to be transformed, and you have to do something different in your actions to be transformed in your daily living, to have a different outcome, to have a different experience of what you want in the world. She reminded us that you can't do that in a spirit of fear. And on February 9th, she also talked about, that was the second Sunday, I believe, what Black history teaches us all. And when I say us all, I don't mean just Black people. I mean us all. What Black history teaches the world. She said, you know, belief is everything. That's hugely what we teach. We are in the belief consciousness business. But the question that Reverend Andriette posed was, or Dr. Andriette, I've known her a long time. The question is what you believe beneficial? She said that if your system of beliefs, I'm going to call it your cosmology, which is how you think about yourself, what you believe about yourself, and what you believe about the world around you. If your belief system doesn't support a vision and an intention for your higher living, then it is antithetical to your life. That means it's going to get you killed sooner or later. And you have to change your belief system, how you see yourself and how you see the world around you. Now, Mother Harriet Tubman, we call her our patron saint here at Heart and Soul. We don't really have saints. We're not Catholicism. But we hold we hold Mother Harriet Tubman in such esteem that we have a life-size portrait of her here at Heart and Soul. And, for those who are online, you might want to show that portrait if you can, Kiki, for just a moment. And you know, it has happened that occasionally someone who has never been to Heart and Soul before will come to me and ask me, you know, this is unusual. I've been to other Science of Mind centers, and I've never seen this woman, you know, so prominently featured. And I've read, you know, the Science of Mind textbook and taken some classes, and I'm not sure that I can remember Ernest Holmes ever talking about Harriet Tubman. Well, he didn't. It was a miss, clearly, because Harriet Tubman is emblematic of what we teach. Let me tell you why, and let me tell you how. Harriet Tubman was born into a chattel slave system that from the time of her birth and her parents' birth, she was told one seemingly inescapable fact. You are a slave. That is all you will ever be. Your purpose is to serve, to do what you are told. You will wear what we tell you to wear. You will go where we tell you to go. And I imagine that in the earlier part of Harriet Tubman's life, it worked. She had no other frame of reference. The laws of the land supported that assertion that she was a slave. And somewhere along the line, somebody might have made the mistake of telling Harriet Tubman about God. Because Harriet Tubman took that line in Genesis to heart that says, let us make them in our own image, male and female, let us call them man. And she realized in some moment of perfect clarity, if I am made in the image and likeness of God, I can't possibly be a slave. God is not a slave. God don't make no slaves. There is a mistake that has been made here. And so I have to know who I am. I am a free person, and I'm up out of here. Before she could take the first step off that plantation, she had to have that shift in understanding her vision, her belief system. I have another story to tell you that goes to my own personal history and goes back a long way. Back in 1973, I had the occasion of, for a very, very short time, becoming friends with somebody you all know or have experienced, and that is Cheryl Lee Ralph. I was a college student in 73, and I had signed up to take a creative writing class, as it were. And on the first day of class, I decided to show up a little bit early. So I walk in the class, and there's like one other student there, and that student is the most drop-dead gorgeous woman that I have ever seen. I don't know, I had never seen her before, but I knew this was an opportunity to come in correct. And so I sat down kind of next to her. I introduced myself. She said, "My name is Cheryl Lee Ralph." She said it just like that. And I said, "Great." And I'm trying to talk to her a little bit. And she gently, helped me understand that she was already in a relationship. Thank you very much. And so it became established right then and there that we were going to just be friends, at least in the environment of that class. And so as the weeks went on, I made a purpose of arriving early, and that we would talk, Cheryl and I, for a little bit, and sometimes a little bit after class we would talk. One day in particular, Cheryl said to me, "So Angelo," because I think I was like a year or two ahead of her. She said, "What are you going to do when you graduate?" I had not given that any thought at all. I kind of thought I had just moved to the 13th grade, and then I was the first person in my family to go to college, and I wasn't properly prepared mentally for what was going to be the outcome of this experience. But Cheryl Lee Ralph is asking me, so I'm like, well, I'm probably going to be a writer, and I'm going to maybe dabble in advertising, and I'm like stumbling through the answer. She's going, and after my voice kind of drifts to nothing, I say, "So what are you going to do, Cheryl, when you graduate?" Without so much as a moment's hesitation, she said, "I'm going to Hollywood, and I'm going to be a big star." Just like that. It stunned me out of my socks. I had never seen or encountered anybody who was so definite about such a bodacious goal. This black woman, dark-skinned black woman, said, "I'm going to Hollywood, and I'm going to be a star. I'm going to conquer Hollywood." You see the difference between the two people. One has a vision and a belief that has already happened. One is still maturing and finding himself. But I never forgot the lesson. After the class was over, I actually never saw Cheryl Lee Ralph again. If you're watching, Cheryl Lee, hi. But anyway, I just had to tell that story. On February 16th, last week, Reverend Dr. Andriette spoke directly to the sit-in panorama. The name of her talk was "From Sit-ins to Standing Tall." And she lifted up for us, that not everybody has an appreciation for Black History Month, and that these days there is a megaphone in the hands of the most powerful and influential people in our government, blaring a message to make Black History Month, and maybe Black History period, disappear. It's a message of fear. It's a message to make people not count. And Dr. Andriette said, it is ours to do to be vulnerageous. I don't know where that contrived word comes from, but it describes it perfectly. Yes, we are vulnerable, and in our vulnerability, we must be courageous. She said we must choose, commit, and do the work required. She said from chattel slavery through Jim Crow to the present day, there has always been some work required. Now, many of you may think I'm just talking to black people, but I'm not. I'm speaking to all of us. All of us have work to do. Otherwise, we are spinning toward an unsustainable way of being that will operate to the detriment of everyone in the entire world. Now, you've heard me, we started with blessing and giving gratitude for the ancestors, and I've described how so many people have painstakingly created this museum of black history. We have had a senior and founding minister who's come forward each Sunday pointedly reminding us that black history also exemplifies metaphysical teachings that are found in science of mind. And we've even had, I had forgotten about this, we had a special event for Black History. We had Martin and Music. Some of you will remember just a couple of weeks ago. The real question is, why? Why do we go through this much trouble? Why do we actually celebrate Black history here? Is it just like because it's February, we need to check that box? When I was quite young, when that picture of me as a child was taken, there was no Black History Month. There was something called American Negro History Week. And if we were lucky, like an afternoon was set aside to talk about maybe 5 notable African Americans, and you know the ones, Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, George Washington Carver, sometimes Benjamin O. Davis was in there, Dory Miller, who shot down airplanes at Booker T. Washington, so maybe 6. But we know there's more now. But back then, there was only a handful. Maybe it was because we were in elementary school. Maybe it was because it just wasn't being taught. Well, we're teaching it here. We're teaching it here because we know that Black history is American history, is world history, and we do it because we know that our lived experience as African Americans is a traceable roadmap to victorious living. It's a roadmap that anybody can follow. You don't have to be African American to see the principles of faith and endurance and courage and creativity and divine expression that we have lived. Anyone can practice. We celebrate Black history because Black history offers certain spiritual gifts to mankind. You see before you, and hopefully the people at home can see, a slide that I created celebrating the spiritual gifts of Black history, which takes me to my talk finally. And it features the Sankofa bird, which is an Adinkra symbol that means go back and get it. You see the bird moving forward, body positioned forward, but looking back to garner the wisdom of the past, the wisdom of the ancestors. That's what that egg is in the beak of the Sankofa bird. And so, as Dr. Andriette has been teaching us, we're going to go back and get it. I want to expose for all of us some gifts. Now, I think personally the gifts of Black history for humankind are innumerable. But I came up with 10, maybe 11, that I kind of want to share with you, beginning with, I'm going to try to get to this real quick. I'm one of the few ministers around here that still operate with paper. One of these days, I'm going to get a device, but I'm scared of that day. Anyway, the first gift of Black history is the sacredness of collective memory and ancestral wisdom. We talked about this. We know that Black history honors the sacred wisdom that has been passed down across generations throughout time, and it maintains a metaphysical understanding, a metaphysical connection to an idea that consciousness is eternal. Energy can't be destroyed. Your ancestors are not dead. They exist to guide, to influence, to help us. Consciousness is eternal, and they are consciousness. The lesson that we get to leave here and take to brunch with us today is that the wisdom of my ancestors lives on in this present moment. Can I get an ashe? And so the second gift of Black history is divine identity and spiritual inheritance, this idea that is summarized in knowing that God and I are one. Black history has always claimed this spiritual kinship and identity with a divine presence, even in the face of systematic or systemic dehumanization. This idea reflects a metaphysical truth that every human being is a divine expression of spirit. One might wonder, with the particular history of African Americans, why, as a group, we're not rabid to exact revenge on those who are the descendants of folks that aggrieved us or continue to aggrieve us, because we know that we are one with God, and God doesn't operate like that. Our God is a God of love, and we know that no external condition can touch the divine essence and spiritual power within me. At East Bay Church, we used to say, nothing can touch the life of God within me. And that is still true. The third gift of Black history, as I see it, is the power of faith and vision in the unseen. Black history absolutely demonstrates an unwavering faith in what you have heard me call the invisible, intangible Spirit of God. The unseen reality of a freedom that is not apparent, of a justice that seems elusive, and an equality that is sometimes really hard to find. We are supported by a metaphysical principle. And when I talk about metaphysical principles, I'm not talking about something that was just invented by Ernest Holmes. These metaphysical principles are eternal. They have always existed, and we have always known them. Oh, it's lifted up in Hebrews 11:1, the most quoted piece of scripture I have ever heard. I don't know a Black person who doesn't know this by heart. Say it with me. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It is our collective belief in the reality of a future free from oppression that helps to manifest tangible social change. We need to breathe that in. That is how we bring an idea into reality. Let us say ashe. The fourth gift of Black history, the fourth reason why we do all of this, is because of the creative power of spoken word. Dr. Martin Luther King, Maya Angelou, many others have used their word in pulpits, in front of microphones, in books, on paper, communicating ideas that are imbued with a sense of spiritual conviction that underlies all storytelling. It can shift consciousness and inspire action. We know this. I remember when Martin Luther King was delivering speeches, I remember how the elders in my family were transfixed looking at that little black and white TV because his words carried such power. They were so profound. The metaphysical principle that we need to remember is that your word has creative power. And through affirmations, through your decrees, through your declarations, you speak new realities into being. And I want to invite you to know that the most important beginning of your affirmation, decrees, and declarations could be, I am. Let it begin with I am. Let it begin with it is. You are claiming something into the world in an unequivocal way. That's the power of your word. Ashe? Ashe. All right. So the fifth gift, Ashe, of Black history is resilience and resistance as a spiritual alchemy. So alchemy is the ability to change something into something else. The most popular kind of metaphor is changing lead into gold. But the ability to transmute suffering into strength requires a certain alchemy, and it's evident throughout our history. Resilience plus resistance reveals how spiritual tenacity, that thing we talked about a moment ago, that faith, that's your spiritual tenacity. In the face of everything that was put in front of Harriet Tubman, she had a spiritual tenacity that wouldn't allow her to not be free. It transforms adversity into liberation. The metaphysical principle that carries this forward is called the law of transmutation, where any challenge can be transmuted into growth and opportunity when it is met with spiritual conviction. You got to know it in your heart. You have to feel it in your heart in order to transmute something that you don't want into something that you do want. Our lesson is knowing that our challenges are transformed into opportunities of freedom when we approach them with spiritual resolve. Ashe? Ashe. This next one, I'm probably going to spend a little time on it. This next gift of Black history is unity and collective consciousness. I love the photograph. Black history is littered with the power of unity and shared intention, not just among Black people, but by people who are allies, who say, I have a stake in this country. I have a stake in seeing the kind of world that is just and equal and fair. That is how allies presumably show up. And when individuals align in a common spiritual purpose, they amplify the collective consciousness and manifest large-scale transformation when they bring the power of unity and oneness. The metaphysical principle is knowing that there is an interconnectedness of all life, that is saying there is only one of us. What is it that Deepak Chopra used to say? I am that, you are that, this is that, and that is all there is. There's only one thing happening. It is the presence of God. That is who we are, the interconnectedness of my life, your life, no matter where you hail from, no matter your life experience. The lesson is Ubuntu, which means I am because we are. This is where it gets sticky, y'all. Because as we have seen in recent times, notably the recent election, there have been allies and wannabe allies and allies who perhaps kind of lost their way, but in some way, form, or fashion were allies that assisted, and let me just say it out loud, the black women who spearheaded all kinds of demonstrations, bringing people together, coalitions of power. And those allies said, yeah, I'm with you all the way up until the moment when it really counted. And there was an opportunity for the Ubuntu spirit, I am because we are. And suddenly some of those allies went, ooh, I don't know, because, well, I am because of special privileges. I am because I have a certain position that's different than yours, and I don't want to lose that. And so a rift occurred, understandably, where after the election, some of the allies, not all, some allies found themselves surprised, even though they were warned, that, this could boomerang on you. And it did, and so now, there's expressions of grief and like, well, where you going? Now I need your help. And a lot of people, notably black women, are saying, you know what, child, I'm tired. I ain't got time for this no more. And here, I had I knew the grandfather of a friend of mine years ago. This grandfather was in his 90s when I met him, and he was a tough old codger. He used to say, if you see me in a fight with a bear, help the bear. Now, in a liberation struggle, if you see me in a fight against privilege and a fight against inequality, a fight against injustice, don't help me. I see what's going on. Help that bear. I don't mean help the bear in its fight against me. Help put that bear to sleep. Help usher that bear back into whatever dark woodland it came out of. Then, and only then, can we perhaps repair some of the injury that has happened to an idea of alliances. Alliances in the spirit of the Society of Friends and other people who put their lives and livelihoods on the line and stuck with it when it counted through the construction of the Underground Railroad. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I have spent a long time on this one, but you know what? Andrea says sometimes there's a hand at her back that's pushing her forward. That kind of happened just now. So I'm going to move on as quickly as I can to the seventh gift of Black history, which is the law of mental equivalence. Throughout Black history, we study the law of mental equivalence in Science of Mind, and visionaries have always held a strong image of equality, justice, and freedom, despite what it looks like, despite the external conditions. How else can we proceed except to act as if, to keep moving toward, keeping our eyes on the prize? The metaphysical principle is that what the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve, and the mental blueprint of liberation always precedes social transformation. That's our lesson in the seventh gift. The eighth gift you saw a few weeks ago at the Super Bowl. It is joy as a revolutionary act. Black history includes a cultivation of joy, music, art, dancing, laughter amid hardship. It has mystified some to go, why are folks so happy all the time? We're happy, we are celebrating, we are giving thanks because it is our soul's natural inclination to align with a higher vibration, even when some people want to keep the vibration very low. This is a way that we not only survive but thrive. And by the way, today, there is an expression of that in the Black Joy Parade that will be coming right through downtown Oakland. I believe that Heart and Soul has a booth or a display at, 21st and Webster? Yeah, okay. So, yeah, that's something to do. I'm going to wrap it up so we can get there. I'm not sure exactly what time, but maybe Sally. Say what? The parade starts at 12:30, so I'm going to bring this to a close rather quickly. Understanding that joy is an expression of the divine, and the lesson is that aligning with joy elevates my consciousness and attracts my greater good. Yeah? The next gift, the ninth gift of Black history is the role of spiritual imagination in social change. Black history reveals a human capacity to imagine a world that works for everybody. Without that capacity, there is no chance of changing anything. As Reverend Dr. Andriette says, everything begins in mind. It's our belief system. If we believe we can, we can. It's pivotal to all freedom and social justice movements. Imagination is a spiritual faculty. Lots of people like to claim that they have no creative ability, they're not imaginative. Yes, you are. You imagine yourself right where you are in life right now, and you can imagine yourself into another frame if you wish. The lesson is what I vividly imagine, I ultimately create. Ashe? Oh, the 10th lesson of Black history is forgiveness as liberation. This is a hard one, y'all. See, this is the one where we get to let that person out of a jail cell that we've been holding in a jail cell in our heart. We let them out. Because as long as we're holding somebody in the jail cell of our heart, guess what? We got to be the jailer. We got to be there going, you ain't getting out. If I got to think about it every day for the rest of my life, then who got time for that? It drags us down. It dehumanizes us and diminishes our spirit. It's a recurrent theme, forgiveness is, in Black history, as you've seen in post-apartheid South Africa, where President Nelson Mandela, what did he call for? Reconciliation and truth. He didn't call for revenge, he called for forgiveness, finding a common path forward. And the metaphysical principle is that forgiveness sets the forgiver free. This is not about forgetting what somebody did. You want to remember that. At least it crop up again. You know what you're looking at. But you want to you want to remember to release the resentment and dissolve those energetic ties to pain, thereby raising your own spiritual frequency. Amen? All right. Now, I usually like to stop at nice round numbers, but Spirit was pushing me on this one. How could we not remember the final gift of Black history, which is that love is the highest frequency that there is? Black history repeatedly demonstrates the transformative power of love throughout its history in overcoming hate, in moving forward. Dr. King and others grounded entire movements on a principle of nonviolence, which is an expression of love. I see the God in me, in you. I'm not out to punish you or hurt you. I'm out to set you free, to set all of us free. That is a movement of a high frequency of love. It's rooted in divine love. The metaphysical lesson or the metaphysical principle is easy to remember. It's right there on the sign. God is love. Love, which God is the highest and most powerful frequency that dissolves fear, hate, and separation. So there you have it. I've just run through 11 gifts of Black history. Now, here's the question. Are you going to remember all that? Maybe not, but I'm going to fix that for you because we're going to embed it in consciousness in a way that you won't forget it. Even though you think you have forgotten it, your ancestors are going to remind you from time to time. It's a seed that's going to be planted. Show me that next slide, please, that has in it an affirmation. I want us to read this affirmation together because it is construed or comprised of all of the lessons that you just took in from the gifts of Black history. So let us read it out loud together. The wisdom of my ancestors lives on in the present moment. No external condition can touch the divine essence and spiritual power within me. Our collective belief in the reality of a future free from oppression helps to manifest tangible social change. Through affirmations, decrees, and declarations, I speak new realities into being. Challenges are transformed into opportunities for freedom when I approach them with spiritual resolve. Ubuntu, I am because we are. A mental blueprint of liberation always precedes social transformation. Aligning with joy elevates my consciousness and attracts my greater good. What I vividly imagine, I ultimately create. Releasing resentment dissolves my energetic ties to pain and raises my spiritual frequency. Love, which is God, is the highest and most powerful frequency that dissolves hate and separation. Ashe. And so it is. And so what I want to do is, as I have come to a close, is remind us to trust God. Trust God as the movement for all healing. And so I'm going to invite Takia and Mark Rickey to come forward. Trust God. And so it is.
Trust love, trust love, trust God. That love is everywhere, and we are here to be the perfect givers of love and receivers of love, and love will have the final word. No one ever loses. Trust love, trust love, trust God. That love is everywhere, and we are here to be the perfect givers of love and receivers of love, and love will have the final word. No one ever loses when one trusts love. To love is to live within the holy breath of God. Love is the essence of the Spirit that is known by always giving. Love always sees the truth beyond the appearance that we show, and love judges not, and love renews. Yes, love renews. Love is a healer. Oh, yes, it is. Love loves to love. Love loves to love, and we'll keep on being loved. Yes, we'll keep on being loved. This is its holy way. So trust love, trust love, trust God. That love is everywhere, that we are here to be the perfect givers of love and receivers of love, and love will have the final word. Oh, yes, love will have the final word. Will let love have the final word. Oh, yes, love will have the final word. So trust love, lean on into love, trust God. That love is everywhere, and that we are here to be the perfect givers and receivers of